Oh, yeah. Here we go. Practice acquisition. There are pitfalls throughout the entire process. If you want to buy a practice, this is how, folks.
Acquisition Unscripted. The truth when buying and selling a dental practice. And now your host, Michael Dincio.
All right, guys. Another episode, Shark Week. We are in the middle of it right now, and it's happening. I got a great guy that I'm coming on to the show. I'll introduce him in a few minutes. But in this episode, we talk a lot about Google My Business and the profile. We talk a lot about the analytics of Google and SEO and how people find you, how they search for you. We talked a lot about the actual transition time from the day that you close on the practice to getting a new website, taking over an old site, and like how to navigate that. And that's going to be a theme throughout this entire week. So important. Get ready, because here we go. We're going to run this out for the rest of the week. Again, Shark Week, it's always a super fun time, but marketing is the key to growing a practice. And there's a lot of folks out there, but I think I've got some fantastic folks to represent Shark Week for you. So stay tuned and tune in every single day of this week and bringing you great marketing ideas. So without further ado, let's get into the next episode. All right, guys, here we go. Another episode of Shark Week. Super excited about the next guest because this guy has a different flavor to marketing, a little different than the rest that I have interviewed. And I think you guys are going to find it pretty cool because, unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know, but a lot of marketing companies kind of sound different. The same, I meant. This guy has a different flavor to the marketing world. And I really think we need to listen to what he's got to say. So without further ado, let me just introduce Kayvan. Nice for you to be on the show, my brother, with DocSites. Welcome to the show, brother. Nice to see you.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you deserve to be here. So usually I see this guy on the trade show floor. That's how we got to meet. And he's worked with a few of our clients. And I just was really impressed with the follow through, the communication, the strategy. So that's why he's got a ticket to Shark Week, and we are doing a whole week on great marketing firms. And hopefully you all are picking up some goodies, because as a new owner, marketing is everything. Whether you're on the acquisition side or the startup side, marketing is everything. When you buy a practice, there has to be a play for how you're going to grow the business. And marketing obviously is a huge piece of that. So Kayvan, give me the 2-minute, like, what's up? Who are you? What's your company all about? Just talk to my friends listening. Who is this good looking fella? By the way, we're on YouTube, so you can watch this craziness all on YouTube. It's digital and through your car speaker.
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely. So my name is Kayvan Mott. I'm a co-founder at the DocSites. We help dentists increase their online visibility and attract more quality patients through Google. So our story is that we basically, started out many years ago, 15 years ago. Our very first client was a dentist. Gave me $1,000 cash in a white envelope and said, going to Vegas. I remember it was a hot day in SoCal and it was cold inside at the Starbucks. So I take the envelope and I'm like, okay. So we build him a website, we do the marketing, all the stuff we do, and he starts growing. And to his credit, he's a great operator. So in about 8 years, we helped him grow from 1 to 13 locations in the Las Vegas area. And his wife was an orthodontist. He's like, hey, you got to use these guys. These guys are great.
Yeah.
She started getting happy with us. One thing about dentists, they all know each other, right? So just organically, we were taking care of dentists and the marketing worked itself. And so the majority of our clients became dentists. And about 7 years ago, we created DocSites as a affordable, personalized way to make websites and do online marketing for dentists. And, here we are now growing and just serving dentists.
Kicking butt. Kicking butt. So
Yeah.
how many dentists do you have in the portfolio today? Can you say? Are you allowed to say that?
Close to about over 650 practices every month that we serve. And yeah, we're really proud of it. Like, we're one of those companies where customer service is really big. Like, everyone here cares about what we're doing. So we have no long-term contracts and less than 1% churn every month. That means less than 1% of our customers leave, and there's no contracts holding them back.
Yeah, that's better than my rate at Next Level. I say that as a joke because it's organic to be fired as a consultant. It's totally normal. It's part of the process. You hire us, we fix some things, you fire us. Like, that's how it works. I expect to get fired in the end. It's just part of it, right? Everybody dies, everybody gets fired in consulting, but you have 1% that leaves you. That's fantastic, dude. And like you, we are month to month. So that speaks for your performance and your customer service. So what makes you different? I usually go down more of an educational path and getting some goodies. We're going to get there, but I made a comment in the beginning in your intro, like, what makes you different? What makes you different? Because you guys do have a different flavor to how you approach the market.
Yeah, so I would say there's three main things that makes us different that the dentist actually cares about. Okay, because a lot of people can say, like, we're this, we're that, but it's like, well, what does the dentist actually care about?
We know SEO better than everybody. I've heard that 1,000 times.
Right. So the three things I would say that makes DocSites different is, one is our pricing is really affordable. So, like, we took everything that we learned when we had a boutique agency, and we basically are giving you like a high value website and marketing without charging you an arm and a leg. So, like, people really like that, number one. Number two is like transparency. So what we don't have here is we don't have like a boiler room of people like selling on the phone or promising you the world. And then you get here and you're like, what happened? Like, I sold something else, right? Like, we're very upfront. We're one of the few companies that I've seen where if you go to DocSites.com, you'll see the marketing packages, the deliverables, the pricing. So people really like to see that transparency. And then the third, probably the most important thing, is our customer service. So if you look up Google DocSites reviews, the number one keyword that you'll see searched, like used on there by dentists, is the word responsive. Right? So I know how it is as a business owner. You know how it is, right? Especially like dentists are like, I got to collect insurance and hire someone and do this. Like, so when they find a company like DocSites that's reliable, responsive, and like gets updates done, does what we say we're going to do, it's gold mine. And I would say, like, that's probably the biggest thing that makes us different is the customer service.
I love it. That's fantastic. All right. If that didn't sell you on this guy, then I don't know what will. Let's get into like some nuggets now. So in the world of marketing, and you're an acquisition. Remember, most of these folks that are listening today have like an acquisition hat on, but folks, if you're bouncing back and forth or you're kind of interested in startup, jump over to the Startup Unscripted podcast, which is all about startup stuff. But most of my clients just like are looking for a practice. They can't find one, so they flip over to startup or vice versa. So essentially, you're listening to folks that haven't gotten into ownership by and large. We've got some other folks listening, but and to me, again, growth is the key. So if I'm a startup, it's all about growth because you got zero patience. If you're an acquisition, little different. You've got to maintain the patience that you have, keep those cash flows going. But usually when I'm looking at a practice, I'm valuing a business and I'm trying to figure out what the right price is. I want to really tap into growing the practice, and marketing is always part of the conversation. So here's the first question. What do you find as one of the most challenging things in helping a new buyer or a new owner when they bought a practice from someone else? What do you find as one or a few of the main challenges they have or go through when buying a practice?
One of the biggest challenges they have that they're not even aware of is they have not Googled their name to see what comes up.
The seller or themselves?
The
The
buyer,
buyer.
and
Ooh.
for both the buyer and the seller.
Okay.
So
Okay.
before you buy a practice, you want to Google that practice you're buying. Do they have a good reputation?
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is you buy it and then you Google that person or that practice name, and it's just like 2 stars, 50 reviews, because now you have an uphill battle.
Yes.
On the flip side, if you Google them, and I remember very clearly at the LA dental meeting, husband and wife come up to me and they're like, we just acquired this practice. And I'm like, what's the name of the practice? And we looked it up and I'm like, bam, 55-star reviews, 48 4.5 reviews on Google. I was like, turned to them and I was like, you acquired a good practice from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you that's the first thing you want to do.
Yeah. It's a great tip.
The practice you're buying, just kind of see what the online presence is.
Yeah.
The second thing that's important to do. So now let's just say like, okay, my site's set on this, right? I'm going to acquire this practice. Maybe it's about closing, or I'm looking at the documents, Mike's helping me. And so now you want to Google yourself as the buyer.
Okay.
The reason
I love folks, I love this. Listen, I love this because there's so I know exactly where you're heading. I love this tip. Go, go, go. Listen to
the
this.
reason is most patients are going to Google you, right? They don't know your practice name. I've been going to my dentist for 25 years. I don't know his practice name. I know him. So most people, even if they're referred to you or whatever it may be, you're making a foot, imprint in the community, you're going out there, guess what they're going to do first when they're looking to make an appointment? They're going to Google you, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I see a lot of dentists make this mistake. They've never Googled themselves. Mm-hmm. So when you Google yourself, usually some variation of these two things will happen. Mm-hmm. Number one, nothing really comes up, not much of a profile, nothing comes up. In that sense, it's easier to, transition. And we'll talk about that later.
Like creating a profile, like building your brand or creating it. That's the easy part.
That's the easy one. If you don't, really show up, maybe a health grades at the bottom of it, and that's it. There's no Google profile, no website, nothing shows up.
Yeah.
The second is, let's say you Googled your name, and let's say you actually worked for a DSO before.
Okay.
Or you worked at Western Dental or another practice.
Yeah.
Sometimes what happens is when you Google your name as a buyer, a Google My Business profile for a competing business shows up, like maybe Western Dental or a place you used to work at, okay? On the top Google searches, it might be, again, a competing practice that you used to work at.
Right.
You want to know if that's the case, because you're going to need to do some cleanup to make sure that when someone's Googling you, it's not going to the DSO website. Yes. It's not going to Western Dental. You want it to come to you. So
happens all the time. And Kayvan, can you actually dig in one level deeper on that? Because this is why I'm excited about this tip, this conversation, because you're right. Think about it, guys. You buy practice and people are trying to do research on you because the goodwill was with the seller. Sure, you had the letter at the front and the front office gal said some great things about you. That all should happen, hopefully.
Yeah.
And let's hope that Kayvan's working on the background, getting your website updated, and there's a picture of you in the seller maybe, or whatever. Maybe we can get into some of that. But the patients are Googling you and they want to know what you're all about. And going to another office is the worst case. I've seen multiple profiles. Yeah. I've seen it all. Like I've had my clients have to call previous associates and say, get my damn name off your door, get my name off your website. So there is a lot of work that goes into it. And after you buy the practice, your head is spinning. So I mean, bro, it is spinning, right? And so fires, HR, what the hell is happening? You're exhausted because you're always on stage trying to connect with those patients on a daily basis. Like, this is the last thing you're worried about. So go. So what was the question in there? I think I just asked you was like, how do you fix some of this stuff?
Yeah. So let's say we look at it, right? If you're acquiring a practice, again, first thing you want to do is like Google it, right? Then when you're looking to fix it, it's like, Well, we got to ask a couple questions. One, are we changing the name of the practice or are we keeping it? Right? So that's a really important thing. Now, before I go into the details, I want everyone to understand what Google My Business is. When you hear Mike and I talking about Google My Business, what are they saying? Google My Business. Okay. Here's what we're saying.
Yeah, thanks.
You know how you like look up like a doctor online or even a restaurant, right? On the right-hand side of the search results, a little profile with the picture and the hours and reviews come up. That's the Google My Business profile.
Remember, Kayvan, remember MySpace?
Barely.
What? Come on, don't lie, you liar.
Barely. I wasn't. Facebook was my first.
Oh shit. Maybe I'm the old guy. I'm the old guy in the room. I didn't know.
I remember it.
All right. So MySpace, Justin Timberlake, I think, owns it now. Sorry, JT. Just a little shout out to you. But MySpace was like the very first Facebook before Facebook was even hot. So, okay, fine. Let's say Facebook. So that profile is basically like your Facebook profile for Google. Google My Business, that profile is your profile that Google sees on that right hand
side. Your storefront is a great way of saying it. It's really that storefront.
Digital storefront. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, every small business will have it. Your restaurant has it, a flower shop has it. The reason why this is especially important is because it's the first thing that always pops up on Google. So we talk about this Google My Business profile. Let's say you're transitioning, right? And you've acquired the practice, and I'm Dr. Joe Smith, and I take over Happy Tooth Dental. Okay. Happy Tooth Dental, their Google My Business profile just says Happy Tooth Dental.
Right.
The problem is there's no transition, there's no communication that I'm coming in, right? So one area that you want to make sure to work on is make sure that profile that had the seller's practice, so Happy Tooth Dental, now has your name.
Yes.
Now it changes from previously it was just Happy Tooth Dental to now you're going to change it to Happy Tooth Dental Dr. Joe Smith, DDS. Yes.
Now, question. Okay. Do you suggest, I love that tip. That's a great tip, folks. That's a great tip. Huge tip. We always do that at Next Level. But if you don't have me on the team and you're working with Kayvan, you're going to do it. But if you don't work with either of us, you got to do that. That's important. Do you put in the profile name formally Dr. Smith? Like, do you give people when they're Googling, so there's some familiarity? Because my concern, and this is a legitimate, honest question, I don't have any motivation behind it. I wonder about stuff like this. If I'm Mike Dincio, I was the doctor, I've owned it for 40, 50 years. Dr. Kayvan bought it. Do you put in there Happy Tooth Smiles plus or change the name? Sad Tooth Smiles, whatever. Formerly Happy Tooth or formerly Mike Dincio. Do you do that? Is that a bad idea?
So on the Google My Business name, it's a bad idea.
Okay, good.
The reason is because there's not enough characters on there to fit it. Yeah. So a more effective way would be, like I suggested, the name, Happy Tooth Smiles Dr. Mike Dincio DDS or something like that. Someone will then, when they Google Mike Dincio DDS or Happy Smile Dental,
connect.
It'll come up and they'll see both names.
Oh, I see. You're trying to create a connection for Google.
You're trying to create a connection. This actually segues really well to where else is it really important to make a connection?
Yes.
Which is, other than the Google My Business profile, the website is where you need to make a connection. Because think about it, someone goes to the website, if a current patient goes in there and it's completely new and the dentist they know is not there, they're going to click back. They might not even make an appointment. So this is really important. So I'll share with you, if it's okay, just some best tips and strategies of when it comes to the website.
Go. Great.
So the easiest and best thing you could do is take a photo of you, the new buyer,
yes,
with the previous seller, and place that right there on the homepage.
That's right.
A photo,
I do that.
Instant connection.
I do that as a buyer up. I make them do that. during the chart audit specifically. Yep.
Perfect. So once they see that visual connection, that's a great foundation, because truth be told, a lot of people don't even read, but they'll see that photo and they'll make the connection.
It's so true. 100%.
The second thing you can do is actually put in the text, and we do this for our clients, like, the main area that's like easy to see, like on when you pull up a website that's already there, that kind of main area.
Yeah.
You can say like Dr. Joe Smith.
Yeah.
Under it, put formerly known as Happy Tooth Dental.
There you go.
So now they see the photo of you, the new buyer with the previous dentist.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, you've written out, hey, I'm the new dentist, but this was formerly the name of this practice, right? So that's going to be like the best way you can get people to essentially know, oh, okay, like I'm at a new practice. I could share with you a story of, we had a client in Daly City, Northern California.
Okay.
And Dr. Sava, she's a great dentist. Her husband works on the marketing, really, really great, good quality people. They bought a practice of a dentist, I believe was next door, like very, very close to it.
Oh, so they own a practice. They bought somebody right across the
Yeah,
street.
so they acquired a practice that was like, she was retiring, right?
Okay.
Let's call her, Dr. Katie for story purposes.
Yeah. First.
So now Dr. Katie, here's the thing. She had her own website, drkatiedds.com.
Okay.
So what we did was, if anyone goes to drkatiedds.com, it actually redirected to a retirement letter.
Oh, I love that. That's a cool idea. But then don't you lose? Okay, actually, I love that story. I love that idea. It's got my head thinking about a couple things. Let's hold that for a second, because I don't want to lose that. That's a great tip. So like a redirect, how to use a redirect, because the concept of the idea of a redirect is you plug in something and then you click go, and then it redirects you somewhere else. And that's super cool to do.
Yes.
First of all, let's address the elephant in the room. Do we want to rebrand quickly? I say we don't. Do you have thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. So it depends. If it's Dr. Katie Park DDS, sorry, Kayvan Mott cannot use Dr. Park DDS.
I mean, you can, if it's in your contract for a period of time, you can. But
I can't. I'm thinking long term. I don't want to be doing business at, because
no, not forever. But
yeah.
I'm thinking like a short term, like 6 months.
Oh,
because Kayvan, I'm thinking like, look, we've helped a lot of people start. Even my partner Paula bought a practice in Arizona, and she sold. And those patients, let's put ourselves in the patient's mind real quick.
Yes,
dude. I better not tell that story. So I'm not going to tell that story. I was going to go there. I know it's unscripted, folks, but there is some politics in the world. All right. So I have heard some examples of other people where the buyer switches things too soon. And it's like an emotional response for these patients, because patients are anxious anyways. We're in an anxious world. Yeah. Dentistry is very anxious. And so I say you want to slow roll the whole idea of rebranding and renaming, even if it is Mike Dencio DDS and it needs to be Kayvan.
I agree with. Yeah. So what's really important is the transition period. Okay, so we're speaking on a good topic. So we talked a little bit about the technicals. You redirect, right? But more important than any of that is the transition period. Mike, I'm sure you talk about it, like the front desk got to pick up the phone and say, hey, formerly this, or now it's this and this doctor, right? That's really important. Yeah. We want to do the same thing with the website. We don't want any sudden changes, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you decide to keep the dentist's previous website for 6 months. Not a bad idea. Just kind of keep it going, because you get in there like, my head's spinning. Yeah, I got to do insurance and contracts and hire hygienists and fire this person. Get it?
That's right. Yeah.
So if you're going to do that, so let's say you keep the seller's website, okay, for six months.
Yeah.
You want to apply the same components we talked about. Number one, you want to make sure it's updated that says, your name with that dentist. Number two, have a photo of yourself with that dentist, right? Just so people can get used to that transition for at least, 6 months. If you're deciding to keep the website, whether you keep it or not, you want to do that, because the more someone's familiar with you, the better.
Yeah.
So definitely you do want to make sure there's a transition, and whether you decide to keep it for 6 months or a year, I've had some clients keep it for longer than a year. Yeah. You just want to make sure that those elements are in there. You're telling them by text that these two practices are the same. Mm-hmm. You're showing them with a photo.
Not text message, but with text.
With text on the website.
On the website, yeah.
On the website. Yeah. And then I think, I don't know if you've spoken on this, Mike, though, like, what's your transition period of, like, how do you train the front desk?
I mean, huge. By the way, I'd say most contracts are probably like a 3 to 6 month, sometimes 2 year I've seen. So anywhere from 3 to 2 years of using somebody else's website or using somebody else's name. Contract I just saw today was, how long can I keep the doctor's name on the door? Like your contract can be pretty specific. So you want to follow those rules, and you need to make sure that your marketing company, like Kayvan, if you hire them, it knows those rules of engagement. So that's the time period, is pay attention. I think the longer that time frame is, the better. Number two, remember, you're meeting patients for maybe 7-8 months that you've never met before. We always say a hygiene cycle, but not everybody is super compliant with their 2 or 6 month recare. So you might be meeting a lot of people still in that 7-8th month that you've never met. Now you are finally meeting people that you met the very first month that you bought. But think about that 6-8 months, you're on stage, you're trying to win those patients over. To that point, though, the front office people do need verbal skills. That can be for another episode. I won't waste Kayvan's time, but 1000%, we need to be able to make sure front office is selling you and saying the right things. That's the first questions of front office is like, well, what do I say? Well, you answer just like you always have. And once the patient knows that you're the new dentist, they'll meet you, and then I would say change the verbals slightly after 3 to 6 months. Of, hey, this is Dr. Dincio and Dr. Kayvan's practice, and then eventually remove Dincio off of it, so to speak. So, but what were we talking there about? Here's a question. I want to finish that thought though. Did you have more on that?
Yeah, no, that was great.
Okay.
The whole transition. So that's perfect.
Perfect. My follow-through question with that is, I get this a lot. There's a lot of sellers that have like contracts with other marketing companies, and it's better not to have any contract. And that's why I hate contracts. Even at Next Level, our consulting firm doesn't even do contracts because we don't believe in them. If we're providing value, you'll pay us. If we're not providing value, you'll fire us. We talked about that, right? And we also talked about you have 1% people leaving you. So again, you follow that same thought process. There's a lot of marketing companies that do this 1-2 year contract, which is to me ridiculous, but whatever. So if the seller's on a contract and the buyer will have to agree, sorry, we're getting into legal stuff, agree to maintaining that. But oftentimes we can get you out of that. And then the question is shit, we got to get a website in if we're not going to continue that search. Yeah. Can you talk about like that transition with like being able to take someone else's website and maybe like, how's that work mechanically? Like without creating a big disturbance in Google and the algorithms and like that's a loaded question, but
we've got a really important question too, because like you brought up Google. And the reason why this is all important, Mike and I, you'll hear us talk about Google, is because one of the best ways that I've seen in 15 years to attract growth, new patients, quality patients, is through Google. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Like, think about it. Like, where do we go when we're looking for something, right? It's always on Google. So like that tends to be a great place as a dentist, whether you acquired or you're a startup, to actually focus your marketing efforts. So we do want to keep Google in mind. So you can think of it like this. Think of the website domain that you own. Let's just say it's, Bright Smiles Chicago, right? .com. And that's what I'm buying from the old dentist. I'm the new dentist, Kayvan, and I'm buying it from the old dentist. I want to keep brightsmileschicago.com, right? That domain, you could think of it as like a piece of land. In real estate, what's more valuable, the house or the piece of land that it sits on? It's the land, right? That's what actually accumulates value and growth and appreciation over time. Think of your website as the same way. It's not actually the website or the house that's built on it that's valuable. It's the domain. It's the land that it's on, right? So you want to make sure that when you're acquiring a practice, that if you're keeping that name, hey, Chicago Smiles Dental Care, whatever it may be, you own that domain as a part of the acquisition. So now once you own the domain, right, you could say, hey, website company, I don't like you. I don't like the website. I'm going to take the house down and I'm going to go hire a new person to build a new website or house up. At that point, you can go to DocSites.com. You can build your own website, whatever you'd like to do. Just the thing is, you want to make sure that whoever is building that new website knows what they're doing on Google and they're professionals when it comes to search engine optimization. Otherwise, you could lose out on website traffic and new patient flow that the previous dentist was getting. So just make sure you hire a professional to do it right and not try to kind of do everything yourself or hire your cousin because she just learned website coding.
Okay, Kayvan, I gotta talk very frank now. Okay, but you're on the show because you're one of the 6. I'm gonna say that there are literally hundreds of marketing agencies that specialize. I'm doing some air quotes in dental. And so if you're on my program, I like your style. You're tried and true. You're doing stuff good for our little industry in dental. So Kayvan's already on the cut. All the sharks are on the cut. Okay. But I got to ask, like, how do we know if someone's good at what you just said? Because everybody talks about SEO and everybody can talk, and we're dumb. Look, even me, I've been around it for a while. I only know so many questions. I'm not no SEO specialist on the side. I'm not reading SEO articles every 5 seconds. Like, no, I don't have that time. I know some stuff, but my listeners don't know more than me. And I'm on here admitting that I don't know all the questions about SEO. So you just said, like, what? Like, make sure someone knows what they're doing. That's so key. How do I know what they're doing?
I would say
there's your hot seat. There's your hot seat question for the day. There it is.
The easiest way to find out is, I don't know if you see this book behind me, but this is the answer. It says who, not how.
Okay.
Don't try to figure out how yourself. Go to someone who's already solved that problem. Hey, how do I know this good company is good on SEO or Google? What I'm saying is ask other dentists. If you don't know other dentists, go into these Facebook groups. There's so many. There's Dental Nachos. There's the Business of Dentistry. There's Nifty Thrifty Dentists. You have your own Facebook group, Mike. Like, there's so many of these groups, right?
That's
like,
right. Yeah.
Go and ask another dentist, hey, I'm thinking of using this company for SEO. Yeah. Anyone have something to say? And kind of see what they say, number one. Yeah. And then number 2, just kind of look at their reviews. But I think more importantly is, like, number 1, like, what is other dental owners' experience with them? Because you're right, like, you don't know, right? Like, how would I know, like, if I really need, I don't know, perio treatment or not? I can't, like, see this. I have to go to someone who maybe has a problem. That knows. Like,
that's right.
That knows that I trust someone that comes recommended, because it's such a wild, wild west that you want to go to a trusted source.
Okay. So for the final topic, and thank you for that, but for the final topic, I want to talk a little bit more about that last point that we were on before I derailed us. I always derail people, but it really is unscripted. Kayvan, tell everybody.
We're going off the cuff.
This is how it goes, because we're just two guys having a conversation, and you guys are with us right now. So, and this is what I would do at Starbucks if I was interviewing Kayvan. So you guys are just hearing the live version. I want to go back to the whole house concept. So someone has a house, whether it's built on good structure or not, debatable. And by the way, most of these professionals, I'm sure Kayvan can do it too, is look at the structure of that seller's website to see if it's even solid or not, right? So foundation is strong or not. And then the question is transitioning over to Kayvan's platform at DocSites and excuse me, and building a great foundation
One thing
and
that's
a
worth
new
noting,
site.
yeah, one thing that's worth noting, Mike, what we do is we'll actually do a screen share and show you, like, not just tell you, like, what you're doing well with that
Perfect
house or platform.
I love that.
And where there's room, because once someone can see it, it's just like a patient, right?
Yeah.
You put that intraoral camera in the mouth and you're like, you see that broken crack?
Mm-hmm.
Once they see it, they're like, I don't want that infection. Like, let's get a crown on there.
So why not implement that during the chart audit and due diligence of buying a practice, is getting on the phone with one of these professionals and really having them dig in and look at the practice's website and look, and hey, it might not be that bad. You know, that we've ran into that. There's some time. Okay. So that's a great tip. I think that should be Shark Week tip of the week right there, is do your due diligence on the site that you're buying. And back to that original point that Kayvan came up with, which is great, is Google yourself also should be a great point for the whole week. But back to the houses. So let's say that my house is built here and we need to eventually build our new site here. Kayvan, can you come in and help someone tweak or take over the site that they have? How's that all work? I think there's some hosting issues and stuff, but like, how's that work? Like, if we don't want to build a new house, we want to spend our time and really methodically think through that and really draft up all the internal pages. And you guys need your time to build a new site and all that. But then we buy a business, and let's just say our time frame, they only gave us 60 days to take it over, whatever. Or let's just say they gave us a year instead versus a year. And maybe they don't want to make that new house yet, but they want to maintain for a while. Can you guys help them do that? How's that work? And if you can't, what are the pitfalls there?
Yeah. So at DocSites, we only work on websites we build. It's kind of like if you take your Tesla to a Toyota dealership, they're not going to work on it. They work on Tesla. So it's like, to get the DocSites service, you need a DocSites website. But what you're saying is not bad. Like, it's not wrong. There might be some instances that are like, hey, like, let me just kind of keep the current website. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, sometimes you acquire practice.
It doesn't happen very often. But
in
let's
the
say
rare
that they did have access to the other marketing firm. If they were my client, I would say don't get into a contract with a new, like, that firm. I would say have Kayvan do an analysis, show you the cracks. Don't commit to that contract. However, you might want to work with them on a month-to-month basis to try to make some updates, add the seller and use picture, make some small tweaks while Kayvan's in the background building your new house. And Kayvan, you probably would advise our mutual client on maybe some of the updates they need to make in the short term, right? We talked about those.
Yeah, that's,
is that about it?
You know, just kind of giving them good best practices of what we would do. Like, so everything we discussed, if you're listening out there and you're thinking of, you know, striking the iron on a practice, if you actually go to DocSites.com or, you know, you request a consultation, everything we're talking about on this show, I'll actually do and show you so you can see for yourself. Just ask for Kayvan at DocSites and we'll help you with that. And then,
dude, I just been butchering your whole name the entire presentation. Kayvan. I said Kayvan.
Okay. I tell people it's like Avon.
What a loser! What a loser!
Avon with a K. You know,
I like Kayvan. I like Kayvan better. I just like it better. You
I
can
have
call
to
me
tell people
Mickey.
it's like
You can call me Mickey. Mick.
I have to,
Hey, Mick.
I have to tell people it's like Avon with a
Yeah.
K, so they remember it. Or
Kayvan.
like Save On stores. I don't know if you grew up where they had Save, where we grew up, they had Save On. So I'm like,
I'm
it's
just a
Avon.
dumb white boy from Ohio, Kayvan. Just a dumb
Oh,
boy from white.
you know, it's all good. So if they're doing that, Mike, to answer your question, anyone listening out there wants, my help, go to DocSites.com. We're here for you.
Yeah.
If you're saying, hey, I'm in the transition, most marketing companies like us will not work on a website that they did not build.
Yeah.
So the one option you'll have is just work with that company, say, hey, I have some updates. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it's easy and smooth.
Mm-hmm.
The other option is you go hire a technician, a one-off technician, which is not always the best experience because they're not really that vested in, right? Like someone who's not vested in you or your practice is typically not going to give you the best product or service. The great thing is with DocSites, it takes us about 30 days to build a new website.
Okay. 30 days.
Yeah. So
okay.
You're not, if time is an important thing, we build you our websites are based off of templates that we personalize with your information, with your content. So if you're like, I'm so busy, but I know I got to do this, like we'll take care of you. We'll help with the domain. We'll bring over any content that you want to use. So like, it's just really easy switching process.
Okay. Buddy, we got to end there because I'm out of time. But, dude, loaded episode. You represented Shark Week. Fantastic. So, you're a shark this week, and we really appreciated you, man. I folks, as you know, this company and this guy are super knowledgeable. Anything that you want to give away, I'm putting you on the spot. I don't feel like you have to, but like if there's something that you want me to put in the show notes, a link or a giveaway, or maybe they want to just reach out to do a chart or a website audit. Like, how do they get a hold of you? And anything that you want to give?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're always available at DocSites.com. That's DocSites.com. If you'd like a consult or just kind of see like what's going on with your website or your practice, or you're thinking of acquiring a practice, you can go there. You can see examples of our work. You can see pricing. So if some of this stuff's actually interesting to you, you're like, well, how much does it cost? It's really affordable. We're super transparent. Yeah. And and myself, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. It's Kayvan, Kayvan, and then Mott, Mott. So you can find me anywhere and connect with me.
That's right, guys. Great guy, great company. Thank you, brother, for being on the show and being part of Shark Week. It's always fun to do this week, and you represented super well. So thanks for your time, brother, man.
Appreciate you, Mike. Thanks so much.
All right, we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Talk to you soon.
We want to hear from you. Interact with your host, Michael Dencio. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Comment and subscribe.